And one more time because I'm an idiot.
Oh, man.
Welcome back, everybody, to First Ring Daily 8CX Gen 4, where...
Yeah. Exciting stuff, huh?
Is it?
Windows and ARM is back, baby. Someone said on Twitter to me something like, this is a game changer, isn't it? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it offers like up to 85% more performance. I'm like, what's 85% of zero? Like, what are you talking about?
It honestly just feels like Windows Phone all over again, because it's the next update's going to be the one that does it. It's the no-do update. That's going to be the one.
But we already know there's a major processor change coming in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to speculate that, I mean, what PC maker would want to put this in a product, for one thing, but whatever. Maybe there's a contractual agreement with Microsoft. They have to rev this thing every so often. I don't know. They were already working on it. Why not just release it? I don't know. But I mean, seriously, anyone buying this thinking this is going to make a difference? At what point does delusion become, insanity? I don't know. It is a 5-nanometer product, because, thin and light and fanless was not one of the problems we were already having. What's the difference? It could be like a 1-nanometer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, well.
Look, we'll find out whenever these machines do or do not ship.
There won't be many of them. I can tell you that. It's probably, the usual suspects. I'm sure Lenovo will pop one out, and HP maybe, But, I mean, who cares? Dear God.
There were some, and I will not name them, Intel personalities on Twitter, which will discuss with you offline.
Okay.
And every time somebody from that summit posted a picture of them with a laptop, they said, can you share the Geekbench scores? We'll see.
I don't even know why would you even pay attention to this. Whatever. I mean,
I want it to succeed. I want it to be a thing.
I do too.
But
we've wasted so much time with it not working, with it not making sense. And at some point it just becomes tiring, whatever. Okay. So yeah, look, like I said, I will, if one is presented, I will review it. Absolutely. I will be honest. I will go in with an open mind, but I don't know.
It's Windows. It's still Windows. I mean, you don't get on ARM. You don't get a fundamentally different experience than you get on those devices in front of both of us.
It
and
depends.
What in God's name happened over here?
Yeah, I was animating behind you earlier. I don't know. It just kind of zoomed in or something.
This has been a morning of travesty. The XSplit configration was all
well, your computer's dust on it from the past couple of days.
I had to drop. I had to drop my dog off at the groomer, and I'm not even joking. They said your dog would benefit from a blueberry facial, and I'm like, a what?
Yikes!
Anyway, so my dog's getting a blueberry facial, and
wow. I would be like, would my dog benefit from being adopted by somebody else? That's ridiculous. But anyway, okay.
It is ridiculous. Fine. This is my life. I do what I'm told. Sucker for the upsell.
Right.
And speaking of ARM, FTC is not going to let that happen. I think was there another regulatory body outside the U.S. looking at this too, I think?
Yeah, the UK government, for national security reasons, by the way. Yeah. The UK one makes more sense. ARM is based in the UK. One of the things that's interesting about the regulatory environment that we're in right now is that the United States government, and I mean that broadly, is looking at ways to protect big tech, right, from what, I don't know, China or something. But, this is an example of a U.S.-based firm, technology giant, acquiring an international company. It seems like they would, want that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the companies that have opposed, I don't have the complete list in my head. I know Qualcomm, I think Microsoft, probably Apple.
Mm-hmm.
It is an interesting mix of U.S. and Samsung, I'm sure, is in the list, whatever. Mostly U.S. companies. And so it's interesting, we don't want a U.S. company to acquire it because we think they may harm competition between other U.S. companies. I guess is the basic argument.
It kind of makes sense because so many people license that stuff. And if one of the primary licensees owns it, it's kind
Well,
of...
I feel like, right, look, someone has to own it, right? Some company has to own it. And one of the things you can do to get something like this pushed through, because we've seen this a lot of times, is that company just needs to make a public agreement that they're going to behave in a certain fashion, right? And I feel like actually NVIDIA did do that. I'd have to go look that up, but I feel like NVIDIA did make that pledge, you know. Maybe that needs to become a legal requirement that they'll license this technology at, if only we had a term for this, fair and reasonable pricing or whatever, which I think is the friend.
Yeah, but you know, it doesn't matter how well that's written. They're always going to be like,
lawsuits. Yeah, of course. No, I know.
They're going to be at the lunch table like, hey, buddy, what's the ARM stuff coming down so we can start getting ourselves ready before we announce it?
There's a Chinese wall, which is probably an offensive term these days, between those parts of the company, isn't there? Sorry, I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah.
Keep it? I mean, it's owned by SoftBank. SoftBank is Japan based.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's okay because SoftBank doesn't make chipsets of their own, I guess, or do they? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm sure they own a lot of things, so there's probably a chance that they own.
Yeah, well, they're probably more like a Viacom type company than a, Google or whatever. I don't know.
We'll see. Microsoft is also stepping back a little bit on their Edge catastrophe.
I don't want to get too happy about this one yet, but you got to remember that this is a multi-faceted issue. And when we talk about Edge, unfortunately, this past week, past month, whatever, the issue has grown into issues of bloatware and all that kind of stuff. But with regards to Windows 11 in particular, they made it really hard, as we know, to switch default applications to browsers, and particularly because browsers can be associated with so many different file types and with protocols as well. Windows 10, it's a one switch, one click. They complain for a second, but you can kind of go by it. Windows 11, I'm not sure any normal person would ever get through that. And of course, even when they do, Edge is still used in certain cases. When you click on a widget, when you do a start search that involves web links and so forth. And this button is not going to change that, right? Like those things, and Microsoft has come out explicitly and said, no, we're going to block people that try to circumvent that. But this is my central complaint always. Well, my biggest complaint always boils down to the user versus Microsoft's kind of corporate needs, and I always take the side of the user. And this is user hostile. Like the way Windows 11 is right now is user hostile. The thing they're changing it to is a little less user hostile. Although if you look at the screenshots, because I found out about this from Raphael, I assume everyone did. Once you've made the switch, you can still see that Edge is associated with a bunch of file types and protocols, including, for example, PDF. It's not a big deal, It's a step in the right direction, but it's not the sweeping change I think we were all kind of hoping for. But it's definitely a step back from the cliff for sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we will.
I mean, it's like it was good. You made it bad. We shouldn't praise them for making it good after they screwed it up. A little less
bad is what they made it. Yeah, exactly. I think. Look, I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe you know this. Like if you're using Windows 10 and you switch to Chrome and Chrome says, do you want to be the default browser? You're like, yes, I do. And you go to settings, you click on it, you choose Chrome. It says, are you sure we really want you to use Edge?
Yep.
I'm sure. Okay, fine. Couple weeks go by, a couple hours, whatever, doesn't matter. You double click on a PDF file or you hit one on the web or something. Does that still open in Edge in Windows 10? I bet it does, but I bet the most likely outcome is it brings up that which app do you want to use thing. I think that's the action that occurs. And what I need to know now is if that's what happens in Windows 11. If it does, we're roughly in the same place we were before, and that's acceptable. It's not perfect, but it's okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, that's
we're not talking about like climate change here. It's just a default browser, but I mean, it's it's important in our little world. It's not.
Yes.
The end of.
It is. Google postponing going back to the office. That's not a big surprise because what is it? Omicron.
Yeah, sounds like the lyrics to a Queen song.
Omicron.
Oh my
Oh my
god! Oh
god.
my god! Let me go. So anyway, yeah. So I don't remember the exact dates, but October, December, January. Now, like,
Mm. Mm.
maybe that's the right approach. There's so much uncertainty, and this thing is just dragging out like a bad cold. At times.
I would argue more worse than a bad cold. Can we
Sorry, I
just
realized
throw,
I hadn't played that one. Okay.
throw that out there a little bit?
Yeah.
So, they're just random stuff. I mean, it was surprisingly a busy-ish week for.
I know. So this is how my week went. I was just describing this to my wife because, like I always say, I like to bore her as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Monday came. It was the holiday weekend, right? I wrote one article on Monday. There was nothing happening, that article was like bleeding a stone. There was nothing going on, and I'm like, man, I can't do another week like this. It can't be like this. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were like just
Mm-hmm.
7 to 8 articles every day, or 9 articles, whatever. A lot going on. Microsoft announced a standalone version of Teams for
Yep.
small businesses. It's crazy. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, thanks Salesforce for triggering that one. I'm pretty sure that was a reaction to the antitrust lawsuit, where you're only bundling this for free with
Yeah.
Microsoft 365. So here you go. We'll make a cheap version available that no one will ever buy, but it's available, and now your argument is gone. Smart. So that Microsoft's also making changes to the Windows 11 Start menu.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see they're adding more pinned recommendations because that is.
Well, so the one thing you should be happy about, because Brad, full disclosure, works for a company that makes a product that replaces the Start menu, is it is the thing they're doing is so unsophisticated and so not what I was asking for, and I think what most people are looking for, that we had this discussion, you and I, and privately, and I think also publicly at some point, where as the maker of Start 11, I mean, what do you do when Microsoft duplicates all the functionality, right? First of all, they're never going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see it right here. So you can see this unsophisticated three layout choices, instead of it being a sophisticated thing that auto lays out and does all the other stuff that Start. It's not even close. So,
I mean, when we were building this, we still fully expect Microsoft is going to update the Start menu. Like, that is, we don't expect them to be like, well, they're doing it, so we're not. Like, they are going to. That is it's a given.
The question is how much and how fast.
Right. And how far are they willing to
very
take
little and very slowly.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that, by the way, that was in that post, I should look this up right now. Actually, I've been meaning to go look at that. Is, one of the big questions about Windows 11 has been what is the pace of these new features? Like,
right.
In the old days, we used to look at something like the dev channel, as we call it now. It was probably it wasn't the fast ring or whatever we had in the past. It was always associated with a version of Windows, and now that's not the case. Now we're just testing features that will appear at some point in Windows 11. So will this thing or other features appear in Windows 11, what I'll call 2.0 in October 2022? Or because they have this ability to keep adding features to the OS, will it appear before then? And in what form? Is there some monthly cumulative like January arrives? So look like we got some new features. Microsoft has never said.
Well, the only thing they've given us is that they've gone to one annual update.
Yes,
no, but we don't know what that means yet.
Right. That's the thing. So I don't think I'm not going to be able to find it now just looking here, but there's some language in this recent post where they kind of say these features will appear before the next version. Some of these features, I'm sorry. Some features we've been testing will appear before the next major release of Windows 11, which is in a year. And that has always made sense to me, right? But they've never really specified because I don't think there is a cadence to it. I don't think they know, or they didn't know when they first started doing this, or that, I think they're going to settle into something, but it's possible to be like quarterly releases or twice a year or something, but we're going to see features out of band with the next release of Windows 11,
Which then raises the question of what are they actually shipping as Windows 11 2.0 or whatever we're calling that, 22H2, whatever they're going to call it.
Well, so I'll just offer up a guess, right, about what form this might take. It might have been as long ago as 2 years ago, but certainly in the past year, they introduced this concept of a Windows or feature experience pack, right? And everyone was like, what is this? And they never really said. They've talked about it like it's a thing, and you can go into System About and Settings, and it says Windows Feature Experience Pack, whatever version. And okay, and those experience feature packs, I believe today are linked between Windows 10 and Windows 11. So it's like, what's going on there? But you have a version number, you have an OS build, and you have this Windows feature experience pack. It's possible that is one of the methods they could use to provide features that could be optional, right? Mm-hmm. And then when Windows 11 2.0 or whatever it happens in October, it could be a roll up of all that stuff plus some amount of new stuff, to make it seem a little more exciting or whatever. That's just
maybe
rough.
I mean, it's a plausible theory because we don't have much else to go on because
they literally have never said, yeah. And like I said, I don't think they on October 5th or whatever day it came out, I don't think they actually knew. It's possible they still don't know today. It's very possible this thing shifts over time. Next year we might see a bunch of updates because, frankly, Windows 11 needs it.
Yeah.
The following year we might see fewer because it won't need it as much. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody does, and that's
I don't.
It's the mystery of life, right? Or the mystery of working with Windows, I guess. At the end of the day.
I hit the cable that connects everything to my computer. The thing paused for a second.
Can't imagine why we have technical issues here.
The only thing missing from my setup is duct tape, which actually would have helped that thing nicely. I probably should have.
Maybe you need a Blueberry facial.